back to Kuf Samach Sif Yud Beis. מזל טוב, מזל טוב. איזה יום?
שני, ירושלים.
יופי. בסדר. טוב. Sif Yud Beis. Hasheleg, v'habarod, v'hakfor, v'haglid. All of these things are different forms of things which we would call water. But they're formed in different places. All of these things, v'hamelach and salt, imriskanat shenasa mayim, if they were smashed until they turn into water, noitlim bahem. V'toivim bahem im yesh bahem kishir, and you could do tefillah in them if they have this shear. V'yesh b'shomer she'en netilas mayim rishonim ela b'mayim bilvad. There are those who say that you have to use water. V'yesh omer she'yain kosher netilas dayim ben she'natzon l'seicha mayim ben sheloi natzon l'seicha mayim ela she'aso lasas ken lechatchila kedei shelo yeh mizalzel b'dover choshuv she'nishtana l'iluyeh. Since wine became choshev because it got an upgraded bracha, it's not proper to use it. V'yesh omer the dafka yain lavon aval adam loy. V'yesh mishomer shekol yimei peris l'ruyin l'tilas yadayim, even orange juice. U'b'shas hatra kol sheken the muter litol yadayim b'shas hatra b'shechor u'b'mei dvash havu shalom the ikron mayim, because beer and mei dvash, they are basically water. Now, I like to say over this halacha because it's a fascinating thing. Those people who come from Chutz La'aretz are used to, when they drive on the highway, they stop off at the gas station, the Howard Johnson, I don't know, wherever it is, and they buy coffee. And they're not concerned with the problem of shalaco. Right? Okay, why not? They don't have badats on the Garden State. No, they don't. Sorry. How come they're not concerned? Bishalaco. That's right. That's what the Rebel Yashu says. Rebel Yashu says that it's a very big Pesach Tshuva in the beginning. Halachas b'shalakum discusses this, that there's a question as to whether coffee has a problem with b'shalakum on it or not. The minig is that people are, I should read it because this is the kind of thing that people bump into. And Bays, where is your day of Bays? No, we're not doing so well. Your day of Olive, your day of Bays. Here we go. Okay, I'm reading. I'm berheitu b'shem shalamarit. Demisha yamekel b'shecher v'hu adin mutter lishtos kafe. V'cheinu b'prichadosh v'ayim b'panim me'irois shechalek olav. Da'af b'shecher lo haya ikar hatam mishum da'atvua b'teila el ikar hatam d'shecher shelahem lo haya oila al shulchan malachim. The reason why they were mekel on shecher b'shalakom was because it wasn't considered oila al shulchan malachim. Delay shaykh b'ho chasnas kuli hay. Delay mizani alayhu. Okay, and all that avokave in yono reyos sha'oila al shulchan malachim umizamni aleihem, and people get together over it. V'lachein roy lebal nefesh shelo lishtres kafe al tei mi'oivik echovim. Okay, so if you want to know what the halacha is that we're mekel. why we're makel, there are many reasons. Rebel Yashu, he says the reason why we're makel is because all it is colored water. Now, if you want to know, probably that sounds a bit strange, I'll just share with you the last Vilna Gaon on his Biurim al Shas in Masechtas Keitzad Mevorchim. He says the Hashoysa Mayim, for other reasons besides that he's thirsty, the halacha is you don't make a bracha on it. And he says, who adin, a person who drinks tea because they're cold. Okay. You don't make a bracha.
I would say you really should make a bracha on that because you really want something hot. So, that's...
What about a blanket, right? Right? No, it's what you want has nothing to do with nutrition. I'm not sure I know what that means.
There's nothing nutritious about water.
Yeah, but if you're thirsty, you need water to live.
There's nothing nutritious about water. What?
It keeps you alive.
When you're thirsty, there's nutrition. It satisfies you. When you're not thirsty, it doesn't satisfy you.
So if you take a pill,
you do not make a bracha. Right. Okay? I'll just say that, today we live in a generation that people are always very nervous. Maybe I am thirsty, maybe I'm not thirsty. You're not really sure. So there are many people who won't take water with a pill without a bracha because maybe they're thirsty. So there are many people that I know that will not take a pill with water. They always take it with some other drink because another drink doesn't make a difference. Then I say you have to be sure that it's a drink that's a real drink, right? Otherwise you're back to the same question, according to the Vilna Gaon. So based on this, Rebel Yashu says that coffee has no problem with shalaco. And then he takes it to a place which blows the mind of many people. He says, if that's true, that there's no bishul akum because it's water, then it cannot be Hamar Medina. Because water is not Hamar Medina. So you cannot make kiddush on coffee because you can't make kiddush on water. Right?
Also on the Starbucks thing that I can't pronounce what it is.
I didn't hear a word you said.
Starbucks coffee that I can't pronounce which type of coffee it is.
Learn French or Italian, I don't know what your problem is.
About the sugar.
You mean that on that type of coffee also? That even that's a pretty mechubad with.
I just want to tell you something. If you would ask me in today's society what would be called Hamar Medina, I would say a bottle of me'ed and water. Right? That's like a kosher thing, just it's still water. Right? All those coffees are just fancy waters, that's all.
About the fact that the sugar in it.
I'm not sure.
The milk base, because they have milk in it.
It's froth to the top, or caramel, or
cream
sugar, or flakes, chocolate flakes.
Okay, I don't know. It doesn't sound to me like a meal you're eating instead of a coffee.
Some of them could.
Okay.
A little hard in the cup.
Yeah.
I know. I don't know.
It's mainly not, but those are mainly milk, those coffees, they're not mainly water. Water is just a bit of Nescafe and water. These coffees you get cappuccinos are mainly milk.
Really, they are? What percentage is?
A very large percentage.
50%?
Instead of taking a can of milk and heating it up and pouring it in.
That's they're doing?
The cup is this big. The cup is this big. There's plenty of coffee in there.
Well, Roiv, you tell me Roiv of it is milk.
I think it's a lot of milk. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I guess the Vilna Gaon wasn't talking about the cappuccino, okay? I don't know. I guess they didn't have it in Vilna. All right. I'm just saying, but this is a fascinating halacha. And I will just say on the subject of coffee on the road, I heard from a mashkiach in America, in a very large city, He said that you cannot buy Starbucks coffee, even a flavor that's kosher, in a place without hashgacha, except for regular, and regular decaf. And he said the reason why is because there are many Starbucks coffees which are not kosher, and they switch off which containers that they put them into. He said except for the regular, and the regular decaf, because those they never empty out, they always just refill them. They're never washed. But the other ones, that today they could have the kosher coffee, yesterday had the treifa coffee. So you have a kli that was used for treif. Now, whether that halacha is 100% true or not, it's definitely not going to be l'chatchila. But I'm just saying, it used to be, when I was a kid, coffee did not need a hechsher. That is not the case today. You know, they say that even there's sometimes coffee in coffee. I'm not sure, but there's so many other things involved that it came a situation that you need to have a hechsher. Okay?
It seems that cappuccino is the third milk, the third coffee, and the third foam.
What's the percentage of foam that's air?
It seems like it's equal between the milk and the cappuccino.
So it's 50%. Okay. All right. Anyways, okay. So there are those who say that you could even use mei peiros because that's also called a liquid. Okay. Next halacha. Tzarich sheyeh b'mayim revius. You have to wash your hands with a revius of water. V'hani mili le'echad. If you have one person that's washing. Aval l'shnayim shebo litol ke'achas ha'achroneinu tzarich. If this is a Yesoid of this halacha is what's called shiurei taira. The concept is if two people are doing something together, we see them as one person, and for one person you only need to have a revius. So if both people are doing it together, so one revius will suffice for both of them. That's called shiurei taira. And we're going to learn about different in the Mechaber Shulchan Aruch will speak about different cases. But that's the subject that we're talking about. Okay. Tzarich sheyeh b'mayim revius v'hani mili le'echad aval shnayim shebo litol ka'achas, that they're washing together ha'achroneinu tzarich. V'afilu b'zeh achar zeh, if that was the plan originally, u'bevlad shlo yafsik ha'kiluach. Ketzad ha'yervius mayim b'kli u'poshat echad yodov v'achar yotzek al yodov u'bar sheni poshat yodov lamata mimenu, and you're doing it like a ladder. Samuch li de arisha mekiluach yored al yodov shel arisha uli yodov shel sheni shel mata mimenu, and the flow goes on to the second person also. Yedei shtehem toiros, both of them are good to go. And even though by the time the water gets to the second person, there cannot be a revius left anymore. Tahiros, why? They're coming from the leftover of.
Leave aside how much falls there, how many by the time it gets to the second?
No, because it's called part of the same happening. V'yesh matirin.
Have one hand under the other, that'll be the same thing, won't it?
Yeah. V'yesh matirin afil k'shenoitel b'zachar zeh. Hoyel ubeshar shehischel echad litol haya behem revius. Even if they're doing one after the other, if that was the original plan. Gam hasheni zeh oilim. Mipnei shebo mishyurei tairo. V'al derech zeh noitel mechatzi lug l'shloisha v'arbo milug l'kama b'nei adam. V'kol zman shemafsikim mayim lishpoch kol echad al yodov shloisha pa'amim. As long as you have enough. V'hu adin k'shecholim להניח 4 ו5 ידיהם בזה בצד זה, או זה על גב זה, וליטול כאחס. ובלבד שירפו ידיהם בעניין שיגיע המים לכל אחד. They have to do it in a way that the water can flow to get to all of them. Okay, this is a fascinating halacha, which I would say has basically no relevance nowadays. I don't think that.
Stuck somewhere with very little water.
I would just say as follows. I watch often people washing their hands. I find it difficult to believe that one person can survive with revius. Okay? What? I'm telling you right now, I would like to give you a trick. I'm going to teach you a trick. I learned this trick from an Arab. Okay? Yeah, there's many tricks that you learn from all kinds of people. If you need to wash your hands, and I'll just use an example. There's a difference between a Pepsi bottle and a spring bottle. One can wash their hands from a spring bottle. The spout is, when you pour it, it doesn't look, right? Whereas a Pepsi bottle, it does. Now, if I would like to wash my hands from such a thing, what I would do is I take the cap and I put the cap on the spout, and you'll get a very small flow. So you can actually regulate how much water you're using. And this saves an unbelievable amount of water. Just like a idea, and it's very important when you go to the beach and you have, like sand on your legs and you want to wash them off. This is a very good, this is useful in many places, and you have to know how to do it. But generally speaking, even people who use well over a revius, I don't think that they wash their hands properly. In order to wash your hands properly, you have to turn your hand while you're doing it so that the water gets everywhere. And I don't see people doing that. So I'm just saying, it has, the halachas, I'm not arguing on the halacha, I'm just saying that you have to do it right. That's a very important idea. Okay.
How is this working for two people? What's the material? How was two people getting their hands washed? What's going on?
The shear is for the act. If you can have more people in the act, then it works.
Even though his hand didn't necessarily get.
No, your hand has to get water everywhere. That's what I'm saying. No, we're not arguing about that. But theoretically, let's say a person, you could cover your hand with 1/8 of a revius of water. So 2 people could for sure wash with 1 revius. Now, but you have to do it in a way that they have that amount. If you're going to have 2 people and you're going to take a break in between, it's not going to work, because you have to wash. This is the coffee cup thing. You have to start off with a cup with a revius inside of it. Now, the subject that we're discussing is how much is in the cup before you start. Now, if you're washing 1 person or 2 people, all you need is 1 revius. The fact that the person has to have the water touch all of his hand, that's a different halacha. It's nothing to do with what we're talking about.
There's some sort of material where you could work that out somehow.
Yes, that's exactly the point. And
Why is the water that leaves the first person's hand not coming?
because it's part of the same go. It's what? Just like, why is it when it hits here, why is over here okay?
He collected it into a container, and then he used that container to wash someone else's hands over here.
Right. It has to be part of the same.
Or really, if you touch the ground, really, it's not even a container.
Yeah, it has to be part of the same pouring that's happening. Okay.
Anyone who actually figured out how to
Practically to do it?
Yeah, 3.2 ounces according to Ramesh's Arabias. How much is Arabias?
Yeah, 3.3. Yeah.
Ounces.
Yeah.
3 shot glasses plus a little. Yeah, for 2 people's hands. Okay.
I would say you couldn't do that for 1 hand of yours. Right?
Okay, me. Who cares about me? But who is the people work the side?
Yeah. No, it's.
So is this practical? Is this halacha practical?
Yeah, how you gonna? Okay. 3.3 ounces.
13-year-old bucket with a small one.
Actually, try it. Actually, try it.
3.3 ounces.
Well, I'll just say we're going to learn that halacha. It doesn't make a difference how big you are. You can do it. We're talking about midget too, right? Now, this has nothing to do with. Your problem has nothing to do with the halacha. Your problem has to do with the fact that, will the water be touching the person's hand everywhere or not?
The water needs to touch. It is 3.3 revises of water for both people, and the water does have to get everywhere.
Right.
How you work that out?
As for a 10-year-old kid, you tell him to wash his hands, he probably uses it out of the water.
Yeah, but how much of his hand does he get wet?
Yeah,
I don't know. Wouldn't want to look.
Okay. All right. All right, let's go and see the Mishnah Berurah over here. Where does it start? Samach Tes. Okay. Samach Tes. V'acharein etzarach v'davka sheyagia hamayim al yodo v'sovev kol shir hanatila shebiyado. He gets it everywhere. Okay. Afilu b'zeh achar zeh. Ratzulam delomi boy kishe pashto shteihem b'vas achar zeh tachar zeh demahani natila shnayim el afilu pashto sheni yodo v'achar kach shekvar hischel lotzuk al rishon ololo atfila kivan shemitchila kivnu lito yachad. They planned to do it in one action. Lo hifsikat kiluach v'ayidei zeh chashvinon ki'ilu notel gam hasheni miraviyah shleima. The point is, we see it like the second person is washing from Raviyah shleima v'nei shaboim hamayim mishiurei taila of the Raviyas of the first guy.
The corollary, if I'm just washing myself with Raviyas, I don't have to use the whole Raviyas to wash my hands.
That's true.
I can leave some to drink it.
Yeah, I think so. Shiurei tarei kilim zalach shuknoitim Raviyas aydei chibur nitzach. Okay. Dos chashirin kiyada achas ava b'mruchokim. If you're very far away, then we see it as two different pourings, and then it doesn't work. You don't have a shear. Each one is actually doing it at a different time. He's doing it one after the other. Lo mahani lepachas mishiravias ayedeza. You have to have a whole revius. V'gam l'sheni ze oila. Ach l'deya zu tzarch harishon lishbach hayado shtei pa'amim u'letzamtzim b'netilasa kadei she'yishar gam l'sheni shir kadei she'yichol lito l'tziolav. He has to have enough water. Masha ein kele dei rishon tzarch lishbach harishon kol revius mayim al yodov u'b'tachas atchak he can be made like the second day. V'kol derech B'tzaralav shemuter litol zeh achazeh afilu kama anoshim. Mechatzi lo gushloisha. V'imtay markivan de reviya sagi l'shtayim imkein reviya somechza sagi l'shloisha. V'yeshlomer shechoshu chacham imkivan de nefishi gabri lo yedaktiku yafo litol ala perek. They're not going to do a good job on their washing. Shekol echad yitzamtzum b'may sheyishor lechaver. V'lachein asurim bereviya somechza. U'b'diavad imnotel echad Mechatzi revius yachulu lito sh'daim achronim revius hanishar. If you end up, this is your question, you end up using only a half a revius, so then the other two people could use what's left over. Okay, shosha pomim. Now this is negea for us. Ubetur kasa shtei pomim. The ikar netila mishum taira hu b'shtei pomim. Rakim yesh aleim lichluch achoytzech tzorch lito pamachas mikoidim lahaver alichluch. And we're going to learn about that later on. But if you're not worried about the lichluch, so then you could do it with 2 times.
So he doesn't have to dry after taking off the lid?
No. Zebet tzadzeh. The eimet time is nikiyasam. The kulu kiyad achas chashvinon. We look at them as one hand. The boyfriend shashvicha hoylech mishamesh v'yetzik amayim al kulam. Mistaber the deri shayda. The kelas gam came bazeh. This everybody agrees to this. Oy zal gam zeh. V'lo yamin the nitu amayim yoda shal risho. The kulu kiyad achas chashivi. It's all considered like one hand, even though it's just like your second finger for your first finger. You have to have a looseness so that the water can get everywhere that has to go. Okay. You have to have the revius in one place. If you have it in 2 cups, then it doesn't work. You have to have a kais that has in it a revius. This is a very important halacha. אפילו דעתו בשתי שמיניס הידו בכילוך אחד לא מהני דבינין שיהיה רביעס מכונס במקום אחד דווקא in order to wash. רביעס שאמרו בין לידו של גדול, בין לידו של קטן. It doesn't make a difference how big the person is. נטו שני בני אדם, זה ידו אחס וזה ידו אחס, ואחר חוזר השני ונטו ידו השניס, הרי אילו כשלושה בני אדם. לפי כך אמוי בכלי חצי לוג ידו טיירס. ואם לאו, אין ידו שני טיירס, אין נטו פחס מחצי לוג, ויש משני ידם. Okay, this is a mathematical cheshbon, but it has to be that you have enough water. Okay.
2 people?
3 people.
There were 3 people?
Yeah. Okay. Next siman. Tzarich lizor mechatzitza shekol davar shechaitis batfila chaitis benetila. Anything which is a chatzitza in tvila is a chatzitza in etila also. Kigoin tzayah shetachas hatzipoirin. A person has dirt under his nails. Shaloi keneged havasar. Ubotzek shetachas hatzipoirin. Afilu keneged havasar. Uretia shala maka and a band-aid. V'tit hayavim, v'tit hayotzah. These are very sticky kinds of tit. Avo b'mi'utay she'eino makbid ein lochosh. If it's a drop and you're not makbid on, you don't have to worry about it. Mishum hachi lo inagu lenaker atit shetachas hatziporaim lenetila. Mishum davi mir she'eino makbid. V'im ein makbidim al zel lenetila. Aval im haya makbid hu tzach lenakrom b'chein iker. שאפשר שנוגע להוקל בחציצה לנטילה, כי יש אומרים שאין שי חציצה לנטילה, אבל עיקר כסבר ראשונה, and if you have a chatzitza, you should take it off, okay? This is a very important koliyas halacha. Aktim lezeh akdama k'tzara. Says the Mishnah Berurah. Hu d'ini tfilas haguf kaim lo d'tzach leizor shlei chatzitza, hainu shlei yashum davar mudbik al haguf be'ez ha-tfila. If you have something on there, then the water can't get onto the goof. Also like tefillah. After minatar lahavi chatzitza elam kena chatzitza reva basar goof midrabanan also afilo chatzitza mira goof gezer aturubo. Ach le'asu chachamim ela imken dech b'yar mahakbin lo sheishar kach. People are afraid that they wouldn't like it to stay like that. Ach. Afata be'ez hatfila eino makbid, I'll say it doesn't make a difference. Avol davar she'ein makbid eino choitzitz, ela im ken haya mechusa roi v'aguf, v'oz asu midrabanan filu medubik alav davar she'ein rech la'akbid, if it's on roi v'aguf. Oninu netias hadayin gam ken afshu midrabanan, kol atikin rabanan ken deraisa atikin, al ken yesh chatzitza al roi v'ayad, v'hainu al roi v'makam anetila, osir afilu mein dech b'nei l'hakbid. Well then, but then you're makbid. I think so. I'm just going to answer your question simply. If I had a choice to have a bandit on my finger or not, what would I do? Even if it's not bleeding. If
it's not bleeding, then you don't. If it's bleeding,
you wouldn't put it just because why bother?
Let's start the other way around. If I have a Band-Aid on my hand and I know that the cut is healed, will I take the Band-Aid off? Why will I take it off? What? Okay, but let's say it's healed 100%.
Why leave it on?
Okay. Is that the reason why, or you don't want it on?
It doesn't bother you. Eat with it. You can work with it.
If you don't need it,
do everything.
I wouldn't have something on if I didn't need it.
Okay, so that means that you're makbid, right? Now, if I have a choice, and this is a very important yesod. If I have a choice, a person has a cast. A cast is a chatzitza. Would I rather take the cast off?
Yeah, but you can't.
Okay, but right now that I need it on, is it a chatzitza? No, it's still a chatzitza. Because if I had my choice, I would take it off. It doesn't make a difference that right now I want it.
Well, no one wants anything on the body.
Right. Now, but there are certain things, and I'm going to use this as an example. I like this example because this is a halacha that makes absolutely no sense until you understand it. The halacha is that something which a person is not makbid on, the dirt on his clothing, it's not a chatzitza and you're allowed to take it off on Shabbos. The question is, why would you take it off? Right? No, like, what are we talking about?
It doesn't bother you, you can take it off.
Right.
Because you're not makbid.
Okay, so you should take her off. I don't know what. Okay, but who's normal, you or your wife, right? So no, I'm asking a serious question. If your wife is normal, then it doesn't make a difference that you don't care, and if you're normal, it doesn't make a difference that your wife cares, right? So I don't accept that as the answer. I'm going to answer this question, and I have to apologize. These mishalim are a little bit off the topic. A person has a shirt. They wore the shirt for a whole day. So tomorrow they won't wear it. Why? Because they deemed the shirt dirty. You wore your shirt Friday night. Will you wear it Shabbos morning? Is it dirty? 1 second. So this is, you understand? It's not fresh, but it's not dirty. Right? Now there are certain things that I wouldn't take it off. I'll just use an example for Netilas Yadayim. I'm looking right now at my nails. I see that I have a little piece of skin over here. You look around your nails, sometimes you see a little piece of skin. And you may even take it off. You know why? Because you're bored. Right? And that doesn't really bother you. That doesn't mean you won't take it off. So the halacha is, if you have something on your garment, that certain kinds of lichluk that you have on your garment, and you're only taking it off, it's because it's your Shabbos suit. So then that's called, you're not makbid. In other words, if I had to go to a chasana, I would take it off. But in my regular day, I wouldn't take it off. That's not called that you're makbid on it. Right? Because sometimes you're in a situation that you're hypersensitive how you look. But that doesn't make it that's called that you're makbid on it. So there is such a concept in halacha of things which people have on them, and they're not makbid. And I'll just share with you a situation. A person has yud. What's it called in English? Yud. Mercurochrome. Okay, for those who know what I'm talking about. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Iodine, right. Okay. Now, a person has mercurochrome on a cut on their leg. What? Okay, is that a chatzitza?
It's red. Mercurochrome is red.
Is it absorbing the skin?
What?
It's absorbing the skin, isn't it?
Sometimes you have a little bit, even mamushes there. Now, there are many poskim who will say that I don't care about a little bit of color on my calf of my foot. It doesn't bother me, right? Now, we don't wear shorts usually. We're not. It doesn't bother us. And this is actually a Taz discusses this question. The Taz discusses a person went in the Beis HaTfilah by the pot that the hot water is going, and he got some soot on his body, if that is a chatzitza or not. Okay? And there are many situations where we'll say that the person is not makbid. Now, that doesn't mean that the person would never take it off. These two things are not a stira. But most things that we have on our body, we're makbid about. And I'd say the thing of a cast is probably the best mashal. Everybody would rather not have a cast. But if I have a broken hand, I want to have a cast. That doesn't mean that you want to have a cast. Right? You understand what I'm saying? It's the two things. When I say a person is wearing a ring, so that is something a person wants that chatzitza on his hand. So why is it that a person has to take off their ring? Because when you knead dough or you do certain kinds of activities, you take it off. So what?
Says today. So if it's a man, you wouldn't usually take it off.
Okay, so that's we'll learn about. But these are the kinds of things that ba'etzem a person doesn't care if it's on him. Okay, that's called makbid and not makbid. Okay. Masha kosher shetzach lizor mechatzitza hainu sheyoser me'aydaim kodem netila kol dover shedech me'al mahakbidov la'siroi v'mnot yadav v'achar kach matzol darachoitzitz ben al miyat yada ben al rov yada talila lahakil shenes hava achar kach ach lechatchila rosh she'ayin kodem netila ben alov darachoitzitz. If you can say that it came later. Many times, a person painted his patio, and then he washed to eat lunch, and in the middle of lunch he sees that I have some paint on my hand. Can you be told that it came later on? No, right? So that there's no such heter. The heter is if you, in the middle of your lunch, you decide, there's one thing that I want to put some paint on, right? So you're touching it up, and then you found something on your hand. There, it could be that came before or came after. So then you would say, Safik Lakula.
The person who finds it on his hands while he's eating his lunch, he'd have to
Wash again.
wash his hands again?
Yes.
How they took it off.
Yeah. Very good point, yeah.
Probably subjected painter, and he's not going to spend time getting everyone else to paint on.
Okay, so that is discussed in halacha. There's a halacha in Shulchan Aruch about painters. Painters are a group unto themselves, and therefore the halacha is that it's not a chatzitza for a painter. Now, if a person has more than one profession that he gets chatzitzas on him, whether you can have a heter for being part of two different guilds, that the place can say you can't. But if a person is, I have a neighbor who's a batemacher. I don't think I've ever seen him with clean hands. Okay? And, that's the way he is. I asked him, do you clean them for Shabbos? And he says, not really. Now, usually for Shabbos, it's usually better than it is during the week. But there's a question, the Maram Chabiv talks about it. If you clean your hands for Shabbos, if that's called that it's part of you, that you're really makbid the rest of the time. Okay? But we're not going to learn Chatzitza, so be Ian right now. Okay. I don't think they have to translate that. There's probably some English word to explain what that is. I will say a mamish. I feel neged abasar mistav delay chashuv netila imatzu sheishar sham. Shaloi keneged abasar kegayin matziporan gadol va'idef al abasar. It extends. Vatzei sheisham tachas ha'idef zedech bnei adam lahakbid l'nakoisam mishumias. That's very not nice. Mishum hachi chaytzis v'tzach lahasar aisa hazuama koidem hanetila. Ubatzek der aram mahakbid afilu keneged abasar va'ayin b'yeredeya the chashuv sham oy kamad dvarim shechaytzitzim ela depoi chashuv dvarim mamitzuyim because of the nacham mitamzeh shelo yigal l'adam et siparnov, because you're going to have problems when you wash your hands.
Cutting your nails like women do before.
What?
I don't see people cutting their nails to wash like women do before it's over.
Well, I'm going to answer that question. There's a reason for that. How short does one's nails have to be before they're toivel? If you take a look at the Chachmas Adam, they have to be very short, and that's not me'ikar din, that's mikshum minig. And for netilas yadayim, people do like the halacha, not like the minig. Okay, the minig wasn't accepted for netilas yadayim. Okay. Ritiya, humash noistim chelev oidoina goshar davar mishicha al smartut laniach ala ke'ev. You put some kind of a treatment on a place and you put it on with a Band-Aid. In other words, our Band-Aids are not like their Band-Aids. They would put some kind of a cream on, and the purpose of the ritiya was so that the cream should go into the thing. Our Band-Aid is there to protect it, that it shouldn't get infected from something outside. In other words, you're not doing it for the same purpose exactly, but would have the same halacha. Shalabasa after where the common with Simon Kuf Sarach Beis the Ein Tzarich Litol Klal Al Mokom Aratia Mitam the Kiwan Shena Yochol Litol Ois Al Mokom Havi Kamo She Nitketa Etzva Ein Tzarich Litol Rak Shar Mokom Hayad Hasam Lemari B'Yesh Lo Maka V'Lakach Lech Ashina Sheyas Ois Aratia V'Yiga B'Bsar V'Oichlin V'Koivloi. We're not going to get it undressed. But you have some kind of a discomfort. You can take it off, therefore it becomes a problem. And the place will become exposed and touch the food. If you're going to wash with it on, then it would be called a chatzitza. Yeah, so therefore, even before you take it off, it's called a chatzitza.
So the advantage you're not going to take off.
Well, we're going to learn about that. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Okay. Tita yavam pirsh tita boiros. Davi kamo kita yotzim shehem nidbokim ma'od umoneim amayim below tachteim. They're very thick. V'afilu keshehem lachim. Water doesn't penetrate them. Because it's stops the water from getting through. If it's only a dot, then it's okay. Because it's umnasa like Gershon said. Okay, then it would also be the same. Okay, we're going to stop over here.